Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SSL Premier League here at the Nexon Arena, obviously sponsored by Jin Air. And it is me, Valdez, bringing you the cast with Wolf tonight, as always. How are you feeling today, Wolf?
I'm feeling really good. I feel really special today because we have such a large Western audience in the crowd. Normally, you'll have 5-6 Westerners or so on average, come to a broadcast like this one. But today we have an almost entirely Western audience. Scare the Koreans out, perhaps. But so it's great to have fans from all the world watching us here on the live stream, but as well as coming down to the studio, which is, of course, not free this time. You actually do have to pay for a ticket, but you can either do so online at Ticketmaster or come straight into the studio and buy one in person. Yeah,
and the cool thing about that is that all that money does go to the gamers, to the pro players playing in the booth. So all that money gets directly streamlined into that. So it's a pretty cool system we got going on down here. Definitely an exciting thing, kind of new stuff being made here at SSL, but so many good matches tonight as well. We're going to start off with Solar versus INnoVation. Both these guys undefeated so far in SSL.
I'm most excited for Alive versus Maru myself because Alive tore through the Super Tournament. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on. But Maru is known to be the stronger player. He's known to be the better player. But so far with Alive's recent run, you just can't discount that. He defeated INnoVation 3-0. But that's the one I'm most hyped for. But Stats is playing again tonight. The matchup with Dark is, of course, going to be exciting later on. So good matches every week. Every single player plays every week with the exception of Live missing 1 week. But yeah, in general, it's a lot of fun every week to watch this. So do tell your friends about this. Get the link out there. Valdez just tweeted it out, and it's probably on Reddit, et cetera, et cetera. But do tell people about this tournament. It happens every week here at the same time on Mondays, so 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time. Yeah. And it's a pennant race system, so it's like Pro League actually, kind of, except it's individual players and not teams.
No.
Oh, he went through. There he goes.
He did it. But, yeah, you're exactly right. We have some of the best players here, and we're going to actually go through the lineups, as you guys will see on screen. Starting off with Solar versus INnoVation to start the night, and then we will jump into Zest versus Patience for a nice PvP.
And then we're going to go into Maru versus Alive, my highlight match of the evening. And after that, we'll have SOS versus Biel. We'll see if SOS can finagle his way out of this PvZ. And last but not least, the matchup between Stats and Dark, which should absolutely be a fiery one. Dark, a very similar player to Sue, who Stats just recently defeated in the GSL Grand Finals. So we'll be looking forward to see if Dark can beat him out in that ZVP.
Yeah. And we were actually talking about this a little bit before the cast, but it's kind of funny because SSL Premier, so many fantastic players, but great players over in Challenge too. I mean, Hero, who just won the Super Tournament, he's an SSL Challenge. That's every Saturday night. We also got Gumiho, another guy who was able to defeat Stats, who was the recent GSL champion, and he's also an SSL Challenge. So many fantastic players have been put together in both SSL Premier and SSL Challenge, so make sure you guys are watching both of those days.
Absolutely. It's on Saturdays, a little bit later, so a little bit easier for you guys to watch in the West for most people. Let's break down these matchups for tonight. Solar and INnoVation. Obviously, INnoVation, the big favorite, going to this with a 16-9 lifetime record, but even more impressive is 6-2 in Legacy of the Void. He's got an incredible TVZ, and he ripped Dark apart earlier on this tournament. It's probably his most notable TVZ so far in Premier.
Now, Solar also looking pretty good. He was able to take out Maru, actually, in the Super Tournament, then did eventually go down to Alive, but he took 2 games off of him. So definitely a very strong opponent, definitely a fantastic match. Then following that, we are going to have our PvP Zest versus Patience.
Yeah, these two faced each other quite a bit in the past, and, they have a really even record. But with how Zest has been underperforming recently, I have to actually give the edge to Patience here, and it surprises me to say so, but I just feel like he's the better Protoss right now. And in PvP, Zest often drops the balls against players he's supposed to be stronger than on paper, but right now I wouldn't even say that he is. He's been severely underperforming.
Yeah, so he's going to have to come in tonight and definitely show a different face, a different style of game, perhaps, to be able to come in and defeat Patience. Definitely not one of the super hard opponents that he has to face in this very stacked league, but we will get into that a little bit later on tonight. Let's start with Solar versus INnoVation here. Solar looking good so far. He's undefeated in sets, but every set has been a 2-1 so far.
Yeah. And I was actually watching him and Patience have a chat, or I should say listening, in the makeup room about how it's super important to win 2-0, and it's super undervalued how important that is, especially if you want to stay on top. INnoVation has not only won all 3 of his series 2-0, but he's also done so against each race. He's won a TVT, a TVZ, and a TVP, so he has conquered all matchups against strong opponents, and he is the favorite going into this TVZ.
Yeah, I think Solar's only played Protosses, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
I mean, he's fantastic in that matchup. Everybody knows it, but now he really needs to show once again, as he did quite well, I have to say, in the Super Tournament, that he can stand up to some of these very tough Terrans. But definitely a Titan in front of him tonight in INnoVation. Here's the map list. We are going to be starting off with Newkirk Precinct. Then maybe we'll get into Overgrowth and Abyssal Reef if it is required.
Yep, so see how this one plays out. Remember, as you just mentioned, Solar the only player to take games off Alive until the finals. It was a 2-0 start. Alive did end up closing out the series, but Solar did look pretty strong with some unusual tactics as well.
Yeah, so guys, we're going to start game number 1 right now. Solar versus INnoVation.
Solar, 강민수. INnoVation, 이신혁.
Here we go, Fly Better Fly, Jin Air. They are sponsoring this tournament, and down here in the bottom left, the purple Zerg, it is Solar.
There he is. His opponent to the bottom right, the Machine, the Robot Terran. It is INnoVation. 6-0, was 3-0'd by Alive in the Super Tournament. Had a decent showing at Katowice, but his biggest recent result, of course, was his win at IEM Gyeonggi, where he was able to defeat Stats in a sweep finals. But he's still very much in form, and a lot of the players that were at top form in the Kespa teams before dropped all their teams, with the exception of Jin Air, of course. INnoVation really, it doesn't feel like he ever lost form during that transition, whereas a lot of players took a big dip.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of funny to see. You look across the board, you look at guys even like Maru, who is still on that Kespa team, and after the transition, it seems like he's even fallen down a little bit, even after being on the one Kespa team that's left over. So it's definitely very interesting. Also, Zest, the obvious choice if you want to look at players here in SSL Premier, who is just not looking all that great. He doesn't look like the Kingslayer of old, the 5-time champion. He's kind of just dropping the ball so far. We'll see if he can fix that practice regimen, hopefully coming into the latter stages here of SSL Premier.
Yeah, that will, remain to be seen, but I'm hoping so myself as well. That's part of the reason why the matches coming up later tonight are going to be super exciting to me. So, we've had Solar really get outclassed by Alive's aggression. Alive really, just, to talk about the matchup, because it was the most recent ZBT played, of course, in the Super Tournament. Alive just tore him apart with drop aggression, heavy, micro-intensive battles, even dropping Marauders on top of Banelings and things like that. So, INnoVation is going to do a really safe scout here. Solar has been able to do weird strategies in the past, but Overlord will come in and see. But the point I'm trying to make here is that INnoVation is a little bit less aggressive in terms of micro-intensive drop harass. He's more of a hit you in the face with a large bioforce that he macroed up type of player. He's much less technical in terms of his harass. He'll do a big Doom drop, for example, but he's not going to hit you in 4 places at once while microing each individual Marauder, make sure he can max out the Banelings like Alive did.
Yeah, and I feel like, Alive definitely, he is one of these players that, after the transition we were talking about before, definitely has even gotten better, as time has gone on. I think his macro has gotten a lot more solid, but even so, I still would have to give that, in terms of just macro style, I'd have to give the win to INnoVation. He's just super solid. He always seems like he has more stuff than you would expect. And starting off with a fast 3cc here, if Solar doesn't expect this or doesn't scout it, he definitely will get pretty far ahead.
Absolutely. The Reaper does confirm the third base location is the northwestern one, not the one that's closer to INnoVation. So his fourth base will be the more vulnerable one, not the third. Reaper's even going to attempt to get here into the main base. just narrowly escapes those Lings. They didn't have Metablock boost yet. It's going to finish in just a second. He commits to 4 Hellions, in fact, with a fast stim. So he's going to have a delayed starport. He's not going to have drops. Obviously, he's going to that 3rd CC, so he's going to try to delay the creep during this moment where he doesn't have a lot of attacking units, just using the Hellions alone. And they're a big threat, of course, to the drones. Now, Solar doesn't know about the 3rd base. He just barely missed it because of that Marine placement. So that's really important as well, that he doesn't know that INnoVation is playing this style.
Yeah, if he could get into the main base and see the production right now, he could kind of make a guess, say, okay, there's a lot of missing minerals, you should have more stuff, but he hasn't even really been able to get a full scout of the base, so doubtful if he really actually knows what's going on here. He's been pretty consistent with the scouting, but as we talked about, hasn't really got a full scout. So here's that creep push that Solar is trying to do and what INnoVation is trying to deny.
See, this is the more passive style of INnoVation, right? Take a 3rd base, drop 2 E-bays. He's doing a little bit of creep denial with the Heli. It's not really too micro-intensive focused on these, whereas Alive would be committing a lot more to this. It would be a lot more aggressive with his Hellions up here at the front. His grenade placement was still cool. He knocked the Queens off creep, but, you know, this is just almost pressure that is more fake than real. I mean, it's there to keep Solar on his toes, but he's not even really using it. These Hellions stayed at home the entire time. Will kill this Zerling, but I do not believe that denied the scout this time.
Definitely got the scout there, has the information. And you see that he gets his own double Evo chamber pretty early. Actually begins 1-1 before INnoVation, which is not something you see all too often. So he's going to have a pretty nice advantage going there. But we do have INnoVation following up with this kind of stim timing and, you know, the extra barracks with the reactor, trying to get out the double drop and begin putting on pressure finally after getting that 3rd CC.
Yeah, it's just, you know, with the 3rd CC, it's a lot, much more delayed. The Hellions he had on the map didn't clear a lot of creeps, so Solar has his bases connected now. He's got good Overlord coverage. He's killed the cooling tower, so there's only one way in, which he already has creep coverage of. He's going to do that macro hatch style again before the 4th base. We saw him do this yesterday in the Super Tournament as well, so he's going to have extra larva to mass Lings up with. He's also getting a safety Ro.4 in here. And it's really important that he has, you know, he's going to be ahead in upgrades, more than even being even in upgrades with INnoVation here when it comes to that big battle that they have over the 4th base coming up. Hellions here again, just finally going to get some value to clear that creep. Just existing alone makes it a lot tougher to spread. But again, he's not super micro-intensive with them at this moment in time.
Yeah, definitely just an annoyance at this point. We do have the Infestation Pit coming out here for Solar, so it looks like he does want to tech up pretty quickly. As you were saying, just getting that Roach Warren for some defense. You see just one Ravager on the production tab so far.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the Fungals to pair with it yet.
Yeah, it's this push that's coming across is not that weak from INnoVation. You always have to respect, you know, almost 1-1 Marines that are coming in here. But we do have a nice little Roach force with some Queens there for Solar to push this back.
Yeah, he still has a healthy drone count at 68. The big key here is this just delays the 4th base quite significantly, but this is what Solar had already anticipated. He already made a macro hatch, so he still have that. He has that larva production, and he had a lot of units out to defend this. Now, once he has these infestors, the Ravagers are going to become a lot stronger, and he can shut down these attacks very easily. We're going to see this Overlord sniped here. Does he have units in position? Okay, if you were just coming over here to protect this 4th, just one bile, not going to be enough, but he split his Roaches quite well, and INnoVation will just have to evacuate. Not able to find anything here.
Yeah, just a little bit of poke damage takes out the one Overlord. It's just an annoyance, you know, just forcing Solar to react. We have both these guys macroing up really heavily from here. You can see the extra 3 barracks coming on in. Both these players getting 2-2 on time. It looks like actually INnoVation does get that a little bit faster. Tries to come on in here and snipe some units. Is actually unsuccessful in that. Loses, you know, about 6 Marines in the attack.
Yeah, good transfusion by Solar there at the last second to save his Queen as well. These drops are really pushing the envelope as to what INnoVation may be able to accomplish here. He's not finding much. And this Roach heavy comp now is moving across. Well, it looks like it might have been. Infestor's not in range for the Fungal.
They do have Burrow that was researched actually here by Solar. Yeah. And they're trying to get that Fungal, but INnoVation actually is going to come out through the safe way. We'll see if he actually does back off here soon. It looks like he wants to get another Overlord. You can see what's going on in the main.
Let's not forget that this fungal-heavy style, or this infestor-heavy style, I should say, is so reliant on these fungals, and he does get them. Nicely done. Gets the chain fungal as well, and this will be a kill on these medevacs. Oh, this is the last one there, though. 11 health remains, but Siege tanks are coming out for INnoVation. We've talked about this a lot. Oftentimes, Terrans will go to the Siege tank rather than the Widow Mine against Infestors. He already has a healthy Siege tank count. He has a large Bio army. Bio trashes Roaches. It trashes Ravagers. If it's large enough, this is a large Bio force. He has the Siege tanks to support it. So it's really, for Solar, the ability to fungal is going to be everything. If he can't make it happen, straight up head-to-head against this Bio with all these medevacs. 7 of them out already, 3 Siege tanks, soon to be 4. INnoVation wins a straight-up fight.
Yeah, I mean, INnoVation, he's used to fighting against this kind of style. We saw how he bopped Dark in a 2-0. These burrowed Banelings are pretty close, but not really in the line of the Bio. And here's that really strong push that INnoVation wants to put on before those Ultras or any Hive Tech could really come out.
Okay, he's got 2-2. Siege tank, siege up here. Ravager shots, though, right on top of one of them. That's a good start here for Solar, slowing this push down significantly as it goes up onto the high ground here. He's got good creep spread. A scan here for INnoVation, but here come the Banes rolling up. No Infestors for Fungals this time, though. And look at how well this Bio does. He micros it back. Fungal here very late. And without Fungals, this Bio just destroys the Zerg army, especially in this position. And he's got a whole second wave coming after that.
So close to those bird Banelings, but not quite. Everything from INnoVation will survive. Now a couple of tanks on the high ground is definitely going to be hard to deal with the Banelings, though. Rolling on up, a pretty good Fungal is going to catch both of those tanks. And actually a couple of medevacs. And this push definitely beginning to lose a bit of its power.
Absolutely, especially with a lot of medevacs being removed.
Oh, he walks right over it.
Oh.
Solar, he's not paying attention. Okay, he does get it.
Nice.
A very nice chunk taken out there.
Absolutely. 3-3 start now for INnoVation. He has another CC about to finish up, which is quite rare, actually. With this style, he normally just lifts with this kind of push, but he needs this now to be placed. With all the medevacs dead here, the healing is severely lacking right now for INnoVation. Solar has a 5th base. He has, +3 armor coming up, Adrenal Glands. The Ultralis Cavern is nearly done. This base is blocked by burrowed Zerglings at the same time. Solar can now safely build a bank and start to head towards Ultras, and INnoVation can't really make Liberators yet. He has to get these medevac, his medevac count replenished.
INnoVation actually foresaw the burrowed Zerglings there. He didn't even try to land his CC. He kind of just saw the burrow from earlier, and he's like, okay, he has burrow. He's definitely blocking my 4th, so an early scan there to take that out before the CC even gets over. You can see that INnoVation on a map like this, he has stabilized. If there was a little bit less room, maybe overgrowth, maybe Solar, he takes that win in the battle and then he moves across the map and begins to put on pressure. I like this Zergling run by. There's nothing here for INnoVation to defend.
Yeah, he's making a planetary, but it unfortunately is not ready yet, and he will have to bring Bio back in order to make sure that this gets fixed. But during this Zergling pressure, INnoVation's now under attack here at the 3rd base, Infestors at the back, Banelings at the front here. This is not going to be a good angle to engage on, especially with the siege tanks there on the other side of that tower. And Solar will have to back away. INnoVation saves the planetary. He does defend this. Very close call here. Here comes 2 drops now into the 4th base of Solar, 3rd base, I should say.
And there's enough units there. Solar prepared for this drop. Not even sure that he saw that coming, but both these players really on the ball, and this is what we expected from this matchup. Both these guys undefeated, again, so far in SSL Premier. Now, Adrenal Glands is finishing up. The 2 Ultras are going to pop out, and this is going to be a lot harder for INnoVation to fight, but he does have that 3-3 finishing up, and this is definitely still a strong push.
Oh, Marines at the front, though. Marauders at the back here. Still, Siege Tanks get some decent shots off. You have to really respect Solar's files, though. They've been taking out a tank basically every time. That's not easy to replace. That's expensive. It builds slowly, and that's the backbone of the Army of INnoVation. Now he does have that 2nd starport up. He's reactoring out double starport liberators. He's got 4 coming out at a time. He has the +1 completed for ship weapons now as well, so the +3 that's finishing for him is a big power spike, but he's still unable to gain ground, and these run-bys are just keeping him back once again at the natural this time.
Yeah, the wall was down, and now with a couple of Ultras to tank, look at those Lings even burrowed into that natural. More Biles take out another tank. Solar really looking to put on the pressure here. Interesting to see what kind of angle he takes.
Okay, these barracks here kind of making a wall, but a great fungal here. And that is too much damage. Now that CC goes down without a cancel as well, he will have to back off. He doesn't have enough units linked up with his army. It's actually going to be very costly for Solar on the chase, but he killed that CC, which is important, and a huge chunk of this Bio army. You can tell if you look at the supplies, he has a massive lead in army size right now, so INnoVation can't even really counterattack. By the time he gets there, those 7 Ultras are going to be out. He will have 8 Ultras on the map at that point. It's very really cost-efficient exchange there.
Definitely is. The Fungals were gigantic. He lost a lot of his Ravagers, but he's replacing them with those Ultras you were talking about, the higher tech units. Interesting to see what he's going to have to deal with the Liberators, though. You can see he has about 5 or 6 Ravagers left. But once that Liberator number gets really, really high, I think he's going to need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, he made a Spire, but he hasn't been able to use it just yet. He spent all of his gas on those 7 Ultras he just made. He's going to try to take this angle here again on the third base, forcing INnoVation to come back. Liberation zone's planted here. And this is very expensive off creep with all these Banes getting shot down. This is almost pure Marauder army on the ground at this point versus the Ultras. And he will get pushed back. If he could snipe that Ultra, it would be great, but it looks like it will just narrowly escape. INnoVation has, replanted that natural CC now at his 5th base location. Doesn't have a 5th CC since he lost one. Killed a few drones with that Liberator. But again, he is building a large army that counters what Solar has.
Trying to get those fungals down. So many medevacs actually fungled there. A huge chunk of them taken out. You can see there's only about 2 left, and they're both very, very low on health. You can see that bio health getting lower and lower. Or at least I can on my Observer PC. Not sure about you guys on the screen. Actually, taking a look at that now.
I almost just fell out of my chair when you told me that, but yeah. We got the run by over here. Again, a tough angle with no answer for the Liberators except Corrosive Bile. The Biles last time almost purely hitting the medevacs, as you mentioned. Because INnoVation does have these double reactor starports, he can replace these easily. It's expensive to do so. He's finally getting these gases up, finding 5 of 3 on 1. But he will eventually, once that second refinery finishes, have all that gas mining that he needs to replace these. But look at the bank of Solar. Now he's got Corruptors out. Now he's got the bank and the presence on this map to continue to build the counter to these units. And these Liberators will no longer rule the sky if this continues. INnoVation needs to gain some ground here, not just take strong defensive trades. He needs more, and he's looking for it right now.
Trying to move out on the map slowly but surely with those Liberators. You can see the counterattack is beginning by Solar at that 4th base. He's taken out the rocks, and they actually did just go down. You can see on the minimap, Solar could definitely roll on in with all the Banelings and do a huge hit to the economy. You can see this 3rd base isn't really mining, so if he could take out all the mining of the 4th base, that's almost half of INnoVation's mining right now.
All right, he's just going to right-click on it. It looks like committing here to the SCVs first. Planetary goes down as well. But it's going to be a base for a base as this base is eliminated. Will he save these units? Looks like the answer is no. He was looking elsewhere. Yeah. And that's, again, some more expensive medevacs he's lost. But look at this incredible Terran army. There are only 7 Corruptors out. And, oh man, INnoVation is getting pulled every which way by Solar right now. He's just getting out multitasked.
Yeah, I mean, he lost half his mining. Look at the banks. You compare them. There's no minerals, barely any gas for INnoVation, and he's not even maxed out. Meanwhile, Solar has so much more, and he's even got a very high-tech army, too. You see, he comes down and checks the only other location that there could be. He gets more SCV kills, now 40 of them killed.
Yeah, I mean, INnoVation has no economy left almost to stand on. This CC will finish, it looks like. Needs to win this fight really, really cost-efficiently. And with only 15 Marines on the ground, it's not going to be. It's going to be tough to kill his Corruptors before they get on top of the Liberators if it's a straight-up engage for Solar. INnoVation, again, he has a strong army. This is not a fight that he can't win, but Solar has the economy to remax, so INnoVation needs to win this really cost-efficiently. Great fungals.
Really good fungals on the Liberators, but no real follow-up. Only one of them going down. Still a very strong army. INnoVation needs to win with this fight and roll over Solar. This is his one chance to do so.
Yeah, he needs to win this so cost-efficiently. He's clearing up a lot of that creep. He's got a really nice Liberator spread here. He's just going to send a small group of Marauders forward to try to snipe Banelings, snipe those Ultras, and then move back to his Liberation zones. He's sieging them forward little by little here. Solar making a ton more Banelings, 23 more, getting ready here. It's going to be tough. Remember, it's so many Marauders on the ground, and here he goes.
Trying to come on in even before the Banelings are done. So many Ultralists coming on in. The Corruptors in the sky doing a number to the Liberators, and only Marauders left on the ground here. Will it be enough here to roll on in? A huge fungal gets the rest of the army. That's going to be it. GG. Solar takes game number 1.
What a game that was to start us off here. Solar absolutely pulling INnoVation apart, having the better multitasking throughout the mid to late game. His Ling run by, his ability to kill the cooling tower rocks, as you were mentioning, hitting that base with the Banelings, killing all the economy with his Zergling run-bys non-stop. And INnoVation was unable to find damage counter-wise. Solar had a really good split with his Roaches in the early game when that first push hit, but I think INnoVation was basically banking his entire game on getting something out of that. He transitioned well when he didn't find much damage, but the inability to deal with the run-bys was a big problem. Even having to pull his entire army back, his force he was trying to clear creep with to help defend his planetary that was morphing. That was one big win that Solar got there as well before he was ready and set up. And, we were saying that INnoVation was the big favorite, but Solar definitely looking pretty good in that first game.
Yeah, really got to hand it to him. He played a fantastic long game there. That one went to about 17 minutes, 18 minutes, which is pretty long in Legacy of the Void nowadays. We are going to be jumping into Overgrowth for map number 2, a bit of a smaller one. I think this might suit INnoVation style a little bit better.
But I have to agree with you, he's going to be able to hit his pushes a lot faster, and his timings.
Yep. So guys, we are going to be jumping into game number 2 right now.
Solar 강민수 INnoVation 이신혁
Here we are on Overgrowth up in the top right. The purple Zerg winning game number 1. It is Solar from Splice.
Yeah, and his opponent to the bottom left in blue, it is INnoVation. The former SKT Terran. Before that, the STX Terran in StarCraft 1. A lot of people wondering if he will make a return with the announcement of Remaster. I don't think so, but we'll see.
Well, when you've been playing a new game for this long, and even if you have history in the other one, you have so much history in StarCraft 2 as well for this player. So he's doing very, very well. His form is on point nowadays. He's winning big tournaments, making a lot of money. For me, I wouldn't. I feel like it would just be, you know, not really the best idea in terms of like career choice. Maybe later, you know, if things definitely, if they shift back into StarCraft Brood War and that gets more popular and he sees more opportunity there, maybe then. But I'd at least take the year and see how it pans out.
Absolutely, he also has the mechanical you know, background to play the game, and you know, as you guys have been watching, a lot of you know, StarCraft 2 personalities and you know, casters, players, etc., going back to Brood War with the 1.18 PTR patch and stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of hype behind it. But if you're at INnoVation's level, there's no reason to fight against the best when you're already the best at another game, going backwards. So I don't think he will switch, but there's always the possibility. You know, players like TY, INnoVation, strong mechanical Terrans that could switch if they fall off in StarCraft 2, but that's just unlikely.
I've been trying my hand. As some of you might know, I never really played Brood War back in the day. Wish I had, but kind of the way things shook out, I ended up playing other games. So I started trying out Terran, and I lost to the computer 4 times in a row. And wasn't a really good feeling. Definitely an incredibly hard game, and I don't know any of the builds yet. I'm just trying to get a feel, so I'm like, I'm just going to make a lot of stuff like I do in StarCraft 2, but it doesn't really work out the same way as he rolls over me with like 15 Zealots and Storm. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. So
it's a hard game, man.
That's the update on my Brood War life right now.
Well, as we get back into this game real quick, we see the one Reaper pressure here, obviously, trying to threaten a Spore Cancel. Solar has 4 Lings here, he's microing them perfectly, basically does end up losing nothing here so far. Queen comes out, and that is going to be the end of this pressure. Gets
really
hit with the grenade.
From both of them, actually.
Yeah.
Just the attacks from the Reaper always, when it's off cooldown, pretty cool to see.
So INnoVation did go 2 Rex, though, so this is a you know, fairly large variation on what we saw the last game. He's going to have a lot more Marines out, and he's got a reactor on that barracks, in fact, so he's going to have a large Marine force. And we may see one of those pushes that is designed to punish Zergs for skipping a Baneling nest. We've seen quite a few times in this tournament on usually 2-player maps with short rush distance. We have seen it at on Daybreak as well, which is not, you know, the longest rush distance, but it's a lot longer than this one. Obviously, the Marines can help you clear Overlords like this. Oh, saves the Reaper and gets... Oh, no, never mind, doesn't save it. I was looking at the mini-map and I was like, gets the Overlord as well, but I guess he got the Overlord but didn't save the Reaper. Still a pretty big win. The Ling's going to try to punish this maneuver. It looks like they will. Only losing 1. So cost-efficient exchange there for Solar. But he doesn't know the full extent of everything. He's probably got a good idea seeing how many Marines were there. He's already going to the +1 armor. He's going to drone up here quickly before the big storm comes. It's just a build-up right now with all these Marines. As we see the starport switch, he's going to have those 2 medevacs and stim very soon with a large amount of Marines with this double Rex push. One Evo, okay, I was going to say 2 eBays now. So he's just going to transition into more normal play. Eventually will take his third base. But it's a lot more aggressive this time versus the economic play we saw from him in the previous set.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Solar does handle this. I feel like this is the build where if you don't see it coming and you take it too lightly, you just lose the game. It's a cool build for Terran because it's not all that hard. You know, you just make 16 Marines, you got 2 medevacs, your Marines have stim, and you can do a lot of damage if the Zerg is not ready. So it puts that pressure on and definitely makes them, you know, prepare for it.
Critically, Solar just lost an Overlord. He's supply blocked. He's making 3 Overlords right now. He's just now starting 12 more Zerglings, but he's not fully prepared for this attack that's coming his way. We'll see it with the Watchtower. It's going to buy him a lot of time, actually, as INnoVation pre-unloads here. He's going to have about 32 lings, if I'm not mistaken, once these 10 finish. Starts at 3rd CC. Stim is done, and he's just going to keep the Zerg honest right now. Not going to heavily commit, not bring the rest of his units over. Just this small 2 medevac force like we were talking about. See how much creep he can deny here. We're going to see that scan. He gets 2 tumors, 3, and will leave.
Kills the extractor.
Yeah.
A small bonus. As you were saying, it's really not like he's going to come on in here and kill him because Solar did prepare, but it's really just about forcing all those lings and finding whatever damage that you can. There's that macro hatch again. Not really changing things up here as Solar.
Yeah, he skipped the Ro.4 in this time and has gone just into the +1, 1 off of 1 Evo Chamber. He has the Carapace already. He's going to the melee upgrades. Bailing Nest going to be finished around the same time as that layer, so he can go straight into the Centrifugal Hooks upgrade, which he's definitely going to need. And he's starting to build that Bailing count already, as he knows that INnoVation has had this extra barracks production for a long time. He's about to have 3 additional barracks, so 5 in total. And he's going to have a large army to push across with. You can see here, he already has a large army that's going to hit here before Baneling speed. And 1-1 is going to hit right with this timing. This is why we said this is a better map for INnoVation. He's just used to these timings, and it's a much shorter rush distance. Here he comes, going to clear up these tumors. Banelings don't have speed. This is a large Bioforce. He just needs to split and kite off that creep.
Coming on in here, sniping one of the queens to begin. Really nice kiting here against only the lings so far. This is definitely pretty hard for Solar to deal with. He's going to try to surround, but an immediate pickup from INnoVation. One of those medevacs getting extremely low.
Yeah.
INnoVation taking a good trade so far.
Keep in mind, the reason he was able to go so aggressive like that was because he pushed the queens back first, and then he went in like that, so the queens weren't able to do as much as they would have liked to. Still, as you mentioned, 1 medevac very low here. He's just going to repeat this process here because he has this large force, and he's basically lost nothing. He's going to lose almost nothing again as he picks up the majority of his Marines, saves the weakened medevac, good positioning on his micro there. Second one gets weak, but this is working out really well for him. And he's got, you know, a large wave of reinforcements, this time with Widow Mines here. Moving forward, we see the Hydralisk Den coming up.
Also keep in mind that the constant pressure at the 3rd base means that the 4th base for Solar is very delayed. Like, it's not coming out here for a while. Once those Widow Mines get into position, this is the 3rd time now that he's come in here and cleared up creep tumors. And he sniped a couple of queens, too. Looking to get a 3rd one. Baneling speed is done. Rolling on in. Actually, the Widow Mine shot does go off onto that queen. Not the best hit there for INnoVation.
Yeah, I mean, it's not horrible, but he definitely wanted more there. Good reaction by Solar. Okay, we're going to see this coming in with the Hydras now, so it's a lot tougher to kite back.
Huge hit on the Banelings as they roll on in, and that's exactly what he was looking for.
Oh man, this might not be enough. Okay, he does get a decent Baneling hit there, but the Hydras alone cannot fight against this in this number. Getting close to being enough to fight straight up against this pure Marine army. Now, Bio will beat Hydras in a large enough number just because of the DPS efficiency. Might needs to move back here. Okay, he's getting a few more lings out, but this is almost pure Hydra right now. 5 more Banes.
INnoVation sends a bunch of his army to the 3rd base because he thought he was going to have to defend the counterattack. But once he saw the Hydras, he's like, okay, I can just fight this straight up. Look at that. There's no Banelings, and he's just fighting straight up against the Hydras. Widowmine gets a hit on the Overlord, trying to kite back now into the Widowmine, but taking really good trades so far as INnoVation.
Ooh, that Widowmine gets off. He does get a run by over there, though, because INnoVation did send the units over, as you mentioned. And the Hydras will eventually defend this. With Ling reinforcements coming out. A lot of mules there. You can see just how micro-intensive INnoVation was during that moment. A very uncharacteristic moment to see 5 mules dropped at once. And we see that Lurker tech coming out that we saw quite a few times in the Super Tournament specifically. Not really meta in StarCraft 2 versus Terran, much more Brood War-esque style. But this is a really cool way to use Hydras to defend and then transition into that Lurker play. Still with mixed success so far in the GSL Super Tournament, but Solar showing us how it's done. We'll see if he can do it here again versus INnoVation. INnoVation no doubt knows this is coming. He saw the Hydras already.
So hard for Solar to defend all those constant attacks that were coming out from INnoVation, but you can see he's buying a lot of time with the Lings now, and he has just solidified himself enough to get that Lurker Den out and to 4th base. But INnoVation now starting his own 4th command center, looking to catch up. You can see that the upgrades this time around are a lot better for INnoVation. 3-3 already on the way, +2 attack here for Melee is not even done. Now he's switching into range, and +1 just started for the Zerg. So really behind on those upgrades, and on a map like this, the pressure's just gonna keep coming here from INnoVation.
Absolutely. In INnoVation is just straight Marine medevac, essentially, with a few Widow Mines for support. Look at this. I mean, he has a ton of Marines, no Marauders, a ton of medevacs as well. Like, this is almost like, reminds me of Flash, part of the Swarm, where he'd have like 12, 14 medevacs in a game. Widow Mine hit here could be incredible. Okay, gets targeted down. Oh, nice targets on the Banes as well. INnoVation looking to get into a good spot here with a nice arc, as you can see. Now going to stim and engage. No more speed Banes. And Marines are killing drones over at that 4th base. He needs to kite back, though, because Hydras will beat this pure Marine army with this big of a count of them. So he needs to get out. He does not want to lose those expensive medevacs. And it didn't end up being as good as he wanted there.
Yeah, the Marines, you know, they killed 3 drones, but then they were attacking the hatchery for a long time. All those drones actually survived behind the mineral line up in the top left, so Solar keeps that strong economy going. And now the Lurker's Den is done. He begins 9 Lurkers, and the next push is going to be a lot easier for him to hold off against INnoVation.
INnoVation does have this super big army, though. We're seeing a 4th base landing over there now. INnoVation has this parade push continuing. He's added a few Marauders in. He's got 1 Tech Lab Barracks producing currently. Starting a plant here. Oh, catching these Lurkers he wanted to. Unfortunately, unable to do so. Losing several Widow Mines as well. It's tough, man. You need to split those Marines, and you've got to get the jump on the Lurkers, because if they're in position, you're in trouble. And they're coming around the backside now. Great Widow Mine hit, but can he get out here before the Lurkers siege?
Lurkers do siege. He is going to kite on back. Doesn't actually lose too many of those Marines. He doesn't have any Widow Mines now in this mix, but only Marines, as you were talking about now. He's trying to jump onto those Lurkers, is able to cancel 2 of them, and just trying to move around them, kind of like you would against sieged up units.
Yeah, it's very difficult to have the Lurkers have the advantage here, but they did it temporarily. But this is the problem with Lurkers. They're immobile, and the army now goes to the top of the ramp. He wants to get a concave up here. There are Hydras and Queens on the low ground. Here come the Speedbanes rolling up. I think INnoVation is going to have to evacuate. He does split his Marines really well, but it's only medevacs left now, and several of them are in the low, as you guys can see. I mean, Solar is just barely holding on, but if INnoVation bleeds too many units off here, then that could be his window back into the game, especially with a few Hydras here. These medevacs so low. But INnoVation still, he's just got better army. He's got this super tight 4-base economy now. Oh, Lurker's in good position. Oh, this is not an engage he can take.
Yeah, he has to be so careful about engaging here against the Lurkers. You can't just run right into them. Able to trade against 1 there now, and is finally transitioning into something that's not just Marine medevac. This is a fantastic drop into the main. He just brought that army way out off the creep and is beginning to snipe a bit of that economy.
He's just got no mobility. If he left a few Hydras, perhaps he could have stopped the medevacs from landing, but it's just so difficult to do when you're stretched so thin against this large bioforce. He's 50 army supply down currently. So when that truck of INnoVation hits, it hits hard. He needs every unit he can to defend. He's going to split these Hydras into 2 groups here, but this could just get burst down. He scans, he sees it. He's going up. Going to kill 4 Hydras here, 4 Lurkers immediately, 5.
And that was really the high-tech, bulk of Solar's army. I think that might just be it. Too much pressure here from INnoVation. Now the Liberators are coming on over to help deal with this, and it looks like he's going to be able to tie up this series 1-1. GG.
GG. Now whoever takes this 3rd game will take 1st place in terms of where we are in our current standings of Week 4 for SSL Premier. So this 3rd game is going to get tense. We are going into Abyssal Reef, another 2-player map, a larger one. One of my favorite maps in the pool. I think it's really well made. I mean, he tried to go lurkers there, using the Hydras to transition into them, but I feel like INnoVation traded too well at that third, fourth base engagement point with his bio, his pure Marine medevac. So by the time the lurkers were out, he had too large of a force, and then he had the mobility with all those medevacs to then hit the main base repeatedly. And Solar got into good position with his lurkers a few times, but it didn't matter because he was never going to be aggressive with them. And every time he got into a position where INnoVation had to back off, he not only just backed off, he backed up into the medevacs, then flew into the main base and wreaked havoc there. So just got out mobility there. I made a verb.
There you go, Shakespearean again. And I mean, it was just the definition of a game where one small advantage leads to another, and that's why Overgrowth was fantastic for INnoVation against Solar style. Now, Abyssal Reef, a bit bigger of a two-player map. I feel like this is anyone's game at this point. I really feel like either of these guys could take it. Guys, let's jump into game number 3 right now. Solar versus INnoVation on Abyssal Reef.
Solar, 강민수. INnoVation, 이신형.
Here we are on our third map of the series. Makes a lot of sense that it's come to this. Up on the top left is Solar from Team Splice.
That's right, and his opponent to the bottom right, it is INnoVation. Team SSL. Okay, it all comes down to this. And I have a feeling that this is going to be INnoVation playing a very similar style to what we saw in Game 2. Because that's where he's found most success in that aggressive push style. And just really started to snowball there quite a bit. While Solar was trying to get Baneling speed and have enough Banelings and the Lings and Hydras coming out to then, of course, eventually transition into the Lurker Den. And it was a lot of bio pressure off of 5 reactor barracks, so just 10 Marines at a time churning out before he got that Tech Lab barracks out, of course, later to make a few Marauders. And he had so many medevacs, so unlimited healing essentially. And Hydras, if you have enough of them, they can help fight against small numbers. We saw that when he eventually defended. Lurkers can do really well against bio, but they can't keep up with bio. So that was the issue there at the end. Plus the fact that he was already kind of down in economy. INnoVation had that 4th base for free. Last game, or on Newkirk Precinct, Solar was able to harass him when he was behind and really force that game into his hands by destroying the economy of INnoVation. This time INnoVation got a 4-base economy up easily for free and was not really pressured at all, minus that one attack at the 3rd base when he was pushing.
He was able to defend that pretty easily. Didn't take too many losses in economy. You could see, even though he wasn't macroing up hugely during the fight, he just put down, okay guys, this is more important. We have like so many foreign fans here in the studio. I think it's like more than 50 today. This might be the most I've ever seen in a Korean studio for me.
It is the most I have ever seen in a Korean studio by far. We had a few like school groups and like tour groups coming in for Pro League and stuff like that. And I'm including the GSL because a lot of fans go to the GSL as well, but this is the most by far and also the most handsome. And attractive.
Of course.
Because there are ladies here as well. Handsome and beautiful ladies and gentlemen here in the studio. So, glad to have you guys here. Thanks for coming and come again. So, all right, drone hides itself here. Will plant the 3rd base undetected as INnoVation is just now heading across the map for the scout. And he is going to be doing 2 barracks again with the factory coming up. Tech Lab reactors. So we're going to see that 2 medevac push. Here comes the Reaper. We'll check the 3rd base first. Solar has already planted that a long time ago, but we'll confirm it. And Solar is actually going to get a quick Overlord speed for the scout this time because he doesn't want to be left in the dark as to what's coming his way.
Yeah, especially on a big map like this, you want to know exactly what's happening. Get on over there and see what is what. Getting that Overlord in position right now behind the natural. And as you were saying, I mean, you were expecting the same thing from Game 2 to happen in Game 3. Makes a lot of sense. He found a lot of success with that pressure, so why not do it again?
Yeah, I mean, it's tougher to pull off on this map, but there's also no watchtowers in the middle of the map to spot them coming, and if he could deny scouting, it would be really strong, but because of the overload speed we just mentioned, denying scouting is impossible. All Solar has to see is the 2 barracks to know exactly what's going on, because this build is so textbook and so common right now. So he sees it, pulls the Overlord out immediately, can go in for a follow-up scout later, but there's not even almost anything else that he's looking for. He can confirm the eBays later and things like that. But he's in a good position now to drone up and get ready. He's going for the solo Evo chamber once again. We'll probably see him get that Carapace upgrade once more. Ooh, he's going for the Ro.4 though, actually. So could be seeing something a little bit different, more like the Game 1 defense.
Really wants to hold this hard with flying colors. He wants to shut down the aggression right away. He gets enough roaches out, and that Marine army just walks up to them and says, okay, I can't really fight against you. I have to back off. It's a bigger investment from Solar. I mean, he's not going to have that Baneling Nest as well, so that tech path will not be opened up for a while, comparatively. But it allows him to transition into that later stage of the game in ZVT where he feels and looks a lot better and a lot more comfortable against a guy like INnoVation. So I definitely do like this choice from our Zerg.
Yeah, I also feel like in terms of when the game gets to a neutral zone, the multitasking of Solar was much better when INnoVation was forced to go in and put pressure on. Whereas when he's ahead, it's tougher Solar to defend, and that's INnoVation's battleground, if you will. Now he's already getting in here and killing a few drones, gets 4 in total. There's not enough links here, not even close.
Oh, he's going into the main too. Lots of queens at the third base, but he sees the roaches now. And this is what I was talking about. That's the effect. He's like, oh, I can't fight against this. Now the queens are getting on top of the medevacs. They're going to push them way back. This buys so much time for Solar. He gets the later Evos. He's not going to have that Baneling Nest, all the stuff we were talking about, but he holds with flying colors. And this is really his ballpark now.
Exactly. The arena of INnoVation is to play against a Zerg player who's always barely has enough, struggling to defend, can barely get his tumors up, right? That's the kind of push he wants to have happen, just like last game where the Hydras just barely defended, for example. But when he goes onto even footing, as we saw in Newkirk Precinct, Solar had good harassment, good run-bys. Look at his Overlord spread he's putting out here on the map. And he's prepared for this type of game. He wants to hit INnoVation in that late game, just like Newkirk. So this is his arena. He's built it, and it's no longer INnoVation's push that he has to be worried about. So INnoVation is going to have to transition. He does transition the exact same way. He's got, his combat shields 1-1 push that he can follow up with. He has the 3 additional barracks. He's going to be going almost pure Marine to start things off. Getting a quick armory here so he can get his 2-2 upgrades. Everything feels similar. But if Solar holds on with this, he should be in good shape. He doesn't have the Baneling Nest again, like you mentioned, so this is going to be tough.
This is the crucial moment right now for our Zerg player, Solar. If he can hold this off, he's going to be in a fantastic spot. INnoVation looking to put on the pressure. That's a huge number of Marines pushing on in, sniping down the first Ravager right from the get-go, eating that corrosive bile, but doesn't seem to care. He's just pushing on in.
Yeah, and INnoVation is just trying to fight this straight up. He doesn't have a large enough Marine force. He will eventually push through this, but more units will stream out here in a second. And this looks horrible for INnoVation. He doesn't even control his medevacs and he boosts them. I think he's a bit of a loss here. I mean, he just got countered straight up. He just attacked in the exact same way he did in the previous set, and this time Solar's like, well, I got roaches and that doesn't work anymore. It felt a bit pitiful there at the moment where, he just continued to fight in. Almost felt like he didn't understand that he couldn't win that fight. Like he was so confidently
he looked so
forward.
Confident. Yeah. That was a thing where it's like he moves on in, snipes a queen, snipes a Ravager, but it was just the pure numbers of it. And even with the 1-1, I think, against the 0-0 Solar, he still does get shut down. And now we're in a totally different place. Solar gets a very easy 4th base. INnoVation just took his 3rd. This is not looking like the game 2, obviously, and maybe even a better position for Solar here compared to game number 1.
No, he's going to take this multitasking harassment to a different level with getting Burrow movement. He's getting Burrow already. He's seen the +2 attack. As far as I could tell, he skipped the Infestation Pit. He's getting ready to drop units in these Overlords as well. He's getting a Baneling Nest. Okay, now the Baneling Nest, now the Infestation Pit, so he's eventually going to transition, of course. But he wants to continue to stay in control of this game, use this big window he has, because INnoVation just threw units away, essentially, at that last fight. Like he was a broken computer program, we always joke, but if you have this behavior that works 99% of the time, when you hit someone and they just have enough units, you feel like it should work, but it just doesn't.
It's like, what's going on here? I have no idea.
It's like
it breaks the program. It just looks
Yeah,
looks weird, you know?
Imagine if, a year from now, someone just keeps trying to do the same adept push that we're seeing with Phoenixes against Terran, but that's nerfed, and like, they went the time machine, they don't know. They just keep trying it because like, this should be working, but it's not working because they don't actually know. In this case, Solar just had enough units to defend. He had a good arc there. He had a good setup. The Queens as well.
Hero versus Alive game 1 yesterday, where it's like, I'm just going to go a Dark Shrine and see how this works. And Alive is building a Raven. It's like a totally new meta. And Hero's like, well, this used to work. What's going on?
Yeah.
But obviously did not work there. But either way, we have this massive push coming out of Solar. I don't think he's going to attack into that very well-defended third base. You can see he does back up now.
He can't really attack into this, but the thing is he doesn't have to. He's never afraid of anything anymore. He's going to go ahead and drop down a 5th base right now. He needs to, spread his creep a little bit further, I'd say. That's the one thing he's really lacking. He was definitely gearing up to do a big attack, and then he realized INnoVation is just going to stop pressuring. By the way, this always feels to be INnoVation's weakest position is when he has to go out and harass, and when he's just kind of sitting back with a small force kind of trying to turtle. Whereas a player like Alive recently has been killing it. A player like Maru will tear you apart. Gumiho, these Terran players in this position where they kind of have to turtle, they will have multiple drops. They will take the risk and they will find value. INnoVation is kind of a one drop, and I've got the rest of my army on one hotkey kind of player. And as you can see here, I mean, he's moving out with this army now that he's getting closer to maxed out.
He's just that macro god. Just makes way too much stuff to the point where you can't expect it. And what Solar's doing, this kind of guerrilla warfare where he's like all over you in many different bases to harass, this is how you break the program of INnoVation. Now you can see he's like, okay, I gotta go in and attack here. We'll see how Solar can defend this. Tank's actually sieged up pretty far away from the base right now. Solar buying a lot of time so far.
Solar has just really put a wrench into the gears of INnoVation, as you said, and INnoVation does have this strong push coming across the map right now. 11 Banelings coming out here. He does have speed now. He just needs to crush this push. Looks like he's just going to let this hatch go. No Queens nearby to transfuse. Yep, just going to let it go. So loses his 4th base. He has a 5th operational, though, and he knows INnoVation is sitting on 3 bases right now, so he's not too concerned. He doesn't want to just lose one fight and lose the game, so he might as well play cautionary here. He has a very nice defensive setup. He's got a lot of biles he can use. He has the speed banes. So just going to sit back, get his upgrades.
Yeah, and you can see the location that he's taking, retaking, I should say, of the 4th base is up in the top right as he begins to pressure the 3rd base at that wall. So we'll have that defense, but these two armies are passing in the night. Solar still has a lot of stuff back at home to defend, but will it be enough? This is so many Lings and Banelings going for the attack of the 3rd.
He has such a good defensive setup here at his bases. He's just going to pull his drones away because he knows there's no way INnoVation kills him straight up, but he's going to find value here no matter what. INnoVation doesn't have anywhere near enough to defend this. He does lip. This time it's an orbital, not a planetary, where he finds this hole. He's even going to catch reinforcements here potentially as well. Saves the majority of his Lings. He's stopping so much mining right now. He's going to cancel these 2 barracks, and he walks away. He's got burrowed banes.
Look at the supply of INnoVation right now. He killed so many supply depots even. INnoVation has to remake those if he wants to make any more units. He's got a decent bank, but he just can't make units. Takes out another base of Solars, but this is a big map.
Yeah, so, in the previous game on Newkirk that was played like this, not game 2, but game 1, INnoVation wasn't able to really find anything in this situation. This time he is killing hatcheries, which is really frustrating for Solar, but Solar still has his big army. He's about to have some Ultralists out. He can retake all these bases. It's really important he got that the new 4th base to the top right that you were talking about. That's so important that he got that. Another CC canceled, by the way. He's still trying to get those depots up. He builds another CC immediately in these Banelings and actually ends up losing it. Going to lose his E-Bays.
Well, I mean, he just ran in all of his Banelings into double E-Bays that already upgraded 3-3. Definitely a big gas sink. Now Solar's coming on in here, wants to take the fight. There was a lot defending back at home, and now he's got Ultras coming in and shredding those tanks in the front line.
Corrosive Biles, too.
Bungle onto all those medevacs. There are the Corrosive Biles. A bunch of them do get taken out, and a huge defense there from Solar.
You stop the push of INnoVation. You stop the INnoVation. I mean, the play we've seen from this player in this series is so timing based that if you stop that, when it comes to the late game, INnoVation seems to be a bit stuck in what to do. Solar has every answer defensively. He's harassing better. He's controlling the map better. And he's pulling INnoVation apart. He was so patient, so patient, and allowing his hatcheries to die. He just took hatcheries further away every single time. And But this game isn't over yet, but it's certainly getting pretty close. He's got 1 in fast right now, 6 Ultras. How is INnoVation ever going to kill his Ultras? It's going to be so difficult without any Liberators whatsoever.
7 Ultras in total, and he has answers to the Liberators right now when they eventually come out. Here's the final attack from INnoVation, is going to get totally crushed. Nothing to deal with these Ultras in the front. All those Medivacs will be taken out, and this is kind of the pitiful, kind of desperate defense as he runs back to his 3rd base from INnoVation, but Solar's going to say, okay, I'll just make sure you don't have a 4th base.
Well, this is certainly the end. Solar will take 1st place in SSL Premier. This game is over. Down goes the CC. INnoVation doesn't want to accept it, doesn't want to admit that this game is over. With his massive gas bank, he has very few minerals. He's trying to outposition this army, and so far he does, but Solar will just leave. He has the better economy. He has a bank. All he has to do is crush this army one more time, as INnoVation's time is running out. These Ultras will either be transfused or they'll eventually regen their health. More Banelings coming up. That one Ultra is like, oh man, can you guys morph somewhere else, please?
You guys just get out of the way, you stupid lazy Banelings. Jeez.
Oh man, this is even going to flank this army here, catching several of the Marines at the front. Will back off though. All he needs to do is get small trades like this. He's got 1 Infestor on the ground here as well.
Look at that army of INnoVation. It fits into 5 Medivacs, maybe 4.
There's the fungal. That should be it, man. I just don't even think he's going to try anymore. This game is so over.
He's trying. He doesn't want to let this one go. He was undefeated coming into this series in SSL, and finally he meets his match in Solar, who looked fantastic against Alive, took it to 5 games, and finally, this last mining base, the dance in the Ultras!
All right.
Get out of my game, Terry.
GG. Solar gonna advance into 1st place. Is the winner here. Did have a rocky 2nd game there, but I think the big tell here in terms of stylistic differences between Alive and INnoVation is when the game hits its head, when you have to take your timing attack and walk home, what you do next is more important, and Solar was always the better player when he could stop those attacks, stopping the attack on Dukirk, stopping the attack there on Abyssal Reef, and INnoVation's confidence there to attack into the Roaches showed that he basically just wasn't willing to change his game plan no matter what. You know, I used to have a cat door in my house, right? And every time a cat runs through the door, it opens, right? But if you lock it, one time a cat bumps into it, is so confused and bumps into it again. That's like what? That's what was going through my mind when I watched INnoVation.
The instincts of the robot.
Yeah, he stimmed and stutter stepped into the Roaches as he was losing the fight, as if somehow magically it was going to turn, but it was not.
He's like, this push always works. It's supposed to work at this timing. It doesn't matter what the Zerg has, it always works, but not today. And I love the swarm style also that Solar played in that last game. You said, like, losing his hatcheries, but taking more, just like spreading like a disease across the map and spreading to where he was putting the pressure to onto the 3rd base of INnoVation. Really just has a gigantic and really well thought out understanding of the Zerg race, and that's why he's just so powerful nowadays. Solar looking really, really strong, and as you mentioned, is 1st place in SSL Premier.
Yep, but guys, we are going to take a short commercial break before we go on to Zest and Patience. It's going to be really short. We'll be right back.